Did you know about 20 million Asian Americans trace their roots to more than 20 different countries in East and Southeast Asia, including the Indian subcontinent? The US is a very diverse country and inhabits many people from many different backgrounds and cultures. But today I'll be specifically talking about Asian Americans. Asian Americans are a part of the minority within the US, and they have come a long way to establish themselves within society along with many other minority groups. Many Asians during the mid 1800s migrated to the US with hopes of having a better life for themselves and their families or future families. In the late 1900s, the term Asian Americans was coined to describe the Americans living in the United States. The journey of many Asian Americans began with their ancestors moving from their country to the U.S., becoming immigrants, also having children in the U.S., and experiencing several different types of hate crimes in modern society. These types of events also were common for other minority groups within the U.S. and experiencing these types of problems that I'm going to be explaining in this. Asian Americans, after World War II, also wanted to escape the war in hope of taking advantage of many different opportunities available in the United States. The most important opportunity that many people saw that was very attracting to them was the labor-intensive jobs that were available, such as gold mining, railroad, construction, and other strenuous jobs. As Asians began to migrate to the U.S., many people in the U.S. saw us coming to their country, having these foreign people come into their country and stealing their jobs and their other occupations out there. It just was not a very welcoming environment, and of course, it's also not very comfortable for for Americans to receive other people coming into their country and trying to assimilate into the culture. There were also hopes of having a better life for their children if they were to move to the U.S., especially in 1882. China had just passed the Chinese Exclusion Act, and in 1924, the Immigration Act was passed, which was both restricting immigration into the U.S. As time passed, many of these major immigrants began to have children and began to assimilate to the American culture. The Asian immigrants would raise their children in America, and therefore they would have to overcome these social norms of America that their parents never had to do. Most of these Asian Americans will lose touch with their Asian roots and our culture. For example, when I was a child, my mom would speak to me in Vietnamese and would try to get me to speak the language, but every time I would go to school, the school would be reinforcing the English language, and it was just very hard for me to pick up both languages at once, and especially I was always at school most of the time. Most Asian immigrants were strict on also what their child would have to pursue in the future, and I think this is just due to coming here and wanting to have different opportunities available to us. Our strict Asian parents would want us to pursue high-paying jobs and careers that they never had when they moved here. They never had the opportunity to because they never received a college education. So many of these children were pushed to pursue high-paying career jobs like doctors and dentists, such other occupations. Since Asian Americans were exposed to different cultures in America, there had been high rates of interracial marriages within the U.S. It's just that since we're coming to the U.S., there's also going to be exposure for us to different cultures and us falling in love with other different cultures, marrying, and which results in many different children that are multiracial. As the Asian community grows within society over the years, the attention for Asian American culture becomes more apparent. In modern society, the Asian Americans have experienced serious violence towards them, and actions are justified just because of our Asian descent. In several states across the U.S., There were many accounts where civilians were becoming extremely physical and demeaning towards Asian Americans. There had been many cases where Asian Americans had been severely killed or hurt due to the spiraling Asian hate crimes that was happening in society. These hate crimes have increased by 339% last year compared to 2020, according to the Center for Study of Hate and Extremism. Overall, these Asian immigrants wished for a better life that is gained by hard work and effort. I believe that Asian immigrants are bold to move to a foreign country in hope of having a better future for their kids and themselves. Asian Americans are the result of this immigration and experience many different cultural norms and different childhood experiences from their parents. Especially in the more modern events like college, this is very difficult for many immigrants to understand since they did not receive a college education growing up. These are some of the main points that I have experienced while being an Asian American. Although I may not be in touch fully with my Vietnamese culture, I would still consider myself a part of this culture.